Hi, I'm Matt Selby and I'm the current bassist and backing vocalist for Ignitemares.
My name is Kaylee and I'm the singer, songwriter and guitarist for the punk band known as Ignitemares.
I'm Rob, the drummer of Ignitemares, and I'm here to talk to you about the release of our upcoming single and music video, San Junipero.
Do you like this lingerie I bought? I got it on sale.
The story being told in the lyrics of San Junipero is about growing old with the person you love, but still feeling young on the inside and trying to relive those younger years.
The song is partly taken from an episode of Black Mirror. I think it's also partly about real life and relationships and how those relationships change as they go on and as you get older, and how the little things that people do for each other matter, or tend to matter, a lot more than the grand gestures, because you know each other so well that these little things that you do for each other tend to mean a lot more.
San Junipero is my attempt at a quintessential pop-punk song. It started out with me sat at my desk with my acoustic, tired after work and taking the mick out of myself to make me laugh. I was thinking about all of these songs that I grew up with and loved that had this sort of raw energy and sexual awakening topics, like Blink-182's Feeling This and Want You Bad by The Offspring. And I wanted to write something like that, except I'm not young and I sure as hell am not sexy. So with that thought, I just went, well, what if I was old and boring and married and settled? Not far off reality, really.
It's about young love kind of rolling over into kind of like a mature relationship where things aren't as they used to be, but our couple are evidently still mad for each other, which is, yeah, I think it's just a really lovely thing to write about, even though it's kind of got this tongue-in-cheek, comedic kind of feel to it. I think that's the best way to see life, as a, you know, it's all a bit of a joke, like.
Having joined Ignitemares after San Junipero was written, I did get a chance to see it performed a couple of times before I was invited to join. That song, San Junipero, was easily my favourite out of the live sets. Good single because it got a super catchy chorus. You got the 2 tempo changes, which make you good for slow dance and jumping around like a loon.
There's 2 main sequences, if you want, or parts. So you've got the breakdown and the intro, which are the sort of the slower 16 on the hats with the build-up. So that's quite calm, what a would wouldn't expect from a pop-punk track. It's not balls to the walls out of the gate then, which a lot of pop-punk can tend to be, but then as after the build, the main sections of the song, when it picks up more, where it kicks in, of, you know, typical, if you want, pop-punk bias as it may sound. I think it's a nice mix of the two. It doesn't jar anywhere. The transitions don't feel forced. I love the sound in the guitars, not that I know much about guitar sound, but I know what I like.
Personally, I love San Junipero. I'm super proud of it. For something that started as a joke, it ended up being one of the most mature songs I've ever written. I think it'll appeal to anybody who's realising that they're not a kid anymore. This single and Letters to Laura's were both recorded at Winston Studios with Lee Shears. It's down a country lane in the middle of nowhere in West Wales. There was a goat outside when we arrived, and a chicken broke into the kitchen when we were recording. It's not a joke.
It was a very relaxed process for me. To have a relaxed process was quite miraculous. Not because of anyone else, because if anybody knows me well enough, they know that I worry myself to death about everything.
I found recording with Lee to be one of the easiest recording experiences I've had. I hate studio environments and I find them creatively stifling, and I get really anxious in them, which means I never perform my best. But I was more comfortable with Lee. He sort of got where we were coming from, and there was a lot of mutual respect flying around, which was good. He's a lovely dude, and I'd really like to work with him again. Before Matt joined the band at the time of recording Letters and San Junipero back in 2019, we had Ben Sawyer on board. He's an absolutely badass human, and we all adore him.
At the time of recording, we had Ben Sawyer playing bass. I've known Ben since year 8 of comprehensive school. We built a friendship from year 8 until now. he's one of my closest friends, one of my oldest friends. So it was really special to be able to, after all these years, because after all these years we still didn't actually manage to do a thing together musically. And Ben's like travelled the world and things anyway, so he's been off on his adventures, but he came back, took the bass up, and yeah, so it was a really nice experience for us to finally, play some gigs together and get in the studio and experience that as friends and as bandmates and as brothers, I suppose, as well.
Hi, my name is Ben, and I formerly used to play bass in Ignitemares, but at the time we were called Faster and Fire. We spent a couple of days up with Lee in Winston Studios. I think we recorded my parts on like the first day. The song was always a heap of fun to play live, and we had loads of fun making it, even more fun recording it. So I think it was going to translate really well into the video. About 18 months ago, unfortunately, got to the point where I had like a heap of stuff going on, so I kind of like took a step back. But I'm still in contact with the guys all the time, and we still meet up when we can when it's not like COVID and shit. So wish them all the best for the future. So cheers.
Working with Ben in the studio was great fun. He was so enthusiastic and encouraging. It was really great having an inside hype man, and he was good at giving feedback, and I loved him for that. Just that? Is that weird or?
No, I don't think so. It's a nice little melody, actually. Yeah.
Sadly, due to Matt playing things a little differently, we ended up changing the bass parts out on the recording, but his voice is still in the woes in San Junipero, so his musical touch is still involved on that song. He's still a part of it.
The song was recorded at Winston Studios by Lee Shears, but my parts were recorded later in Kay's house. I was nervous at first because I'd only had one practice with the guys before, and that was pretty much the first time Kay had heard my bass lines properly rather than being blasted in a rehearsal room. So quite nervous then, going, better get this right. Lee's great. I've worked with him in the past. He's plays in a couple of live bands, and when I was working in the venue I was at, he'd always come in and he'd be even covered for me on the sound desk when I decided to go away. He's also a really good musician and songwriter in his own right as well.
I can only count on one hand, I think, the amount of times that I've actually had to record in a studio environment with a deadline to a click. But with Lee in Winston Studios, he's so calm, so relaxed, nothing was a problem, and I felt so at ease that I don't think it took me very long at all to get the drum parts done in completion. I had to do a couple of runs at a few things where I dropped a beat here and there. He made me feel relaxed, at ease, really enjoyed time there. It was a good laugh as well.
Great Scott!
So here we go.
The music video for San Junipero came from my personal mentor, Simon Regan. I knew him from my old job, and we worked on a lot of stuff together. I'd previously done a music video with him for my solo project, Bed. The song is called Bed, not the solo project. And I mentioned us looking for a full band thing, and he said he was still interested in experimenting with that world and was super into it. So we met with him and discussed ideas and started putting it together.
The video itself is really lovely and really wholesome. And the song, like the song and the video, kind of the themes kind of tie in together.
The story of the video mirrors the narrative of the lyrics of the song, I feel. It's just a bit more extreme. Like, the lyrics are set as in our current period, and we aged the actors so they were like 100 plus, probably, and gave them like dodgy hips.
The story of the video is basically an exaggerated version of the song's story. It's an old couple doing mundane stuff like knitting and crosswords, and they catch our song on TV and they end up digging it and dancing to it, and they accidentally snap back in time to where the band are playing in the TV and they get down with us. It's really dumb. Really silly. Filming the music video was really fun. We did most of the performance stuff, you know, bar the last chorus, in one day, and had the actors come in on the second day of the shoot. Paul and Elena, who are the old couple in it, they were perfect. Paul is my best friend of all time, and Elena is someone he brought on who was frankly brilliant. I asked her to pretend to knit, and I just like gave her some knitting needles and wool, and she was like, "Oh, I know how to knit, no worries." It was fate, I swear.
We went up with 2 actors in the video, and a makeup artist as well came, very kindly offered her time. We got together over a weekend, a very fun experience, filming the music video. Again, we've done something ourselves before in previous projects, but we hadn't ever done anything as official as this in a studio with props and the camera on a dolly and a rail and everything, and different angles and close-ups, and you know, the professional behind the scenes directing and giving pointers, and you know, it was a very, very fun experience. Something I hope I get to experience again.
The first release was Letters to Laura's. I know that they had 2 tracks, Letters to Laura's and SJ, recorded together at the same time. I did hope that they were going to release them as an A-B side originally, but honestly, I understand with bands and music in general, things never go to plan. You're always waiting around for someone to finish off something.
San Junipero was recorded in July of 2019 and filmed in February 2020, but obviously it's coming out in 2021. Due to lockdowns and Simon's own work schedules and like interpersonal stuff, it just kept getting pushed back and pushed back. We were determined to release it with the video, so we just sat on the song essentially. It was really frustrating, but it's the pandemic, what are you going to do? The main point is it's ready now.
Regarding the release schedule and COVID messing it all up, yeah, it did a good job. COVID, you know, definitely did have an impact on the process of completion, and thankfully we are now in a position where we have the completed product and we are ready to go and we are ready for the release.
The pandemic has impacted on the release by delaying it by nearly a year, and has meant that we have to think up other ways to help promote it. Instead of going out and gigging in support of it, we've got to think of other little fun ways like this.
With Ignitemares going off in the future, as you know, the label, I hope that the guys will go on tour. I'm going to sort some shows out for them elsewhere in the UK. So I hope to see them out and about all over the place in the next year, obviously after COVID. So yeah, I think that's the next thing for them, is to get out on the road. And I think that once people see them live, they'll fall in love, hopefully. I think they will.
Hopefully we'll be back out gigging soon, but in the meantime we're currently planning recording our debut album, as well as a lot of other fun stuff.
Regarding the future of the band, I suppose any aspiring musician would and should really back themselves and say sky's the limit, and I hope that's the case. We have a lot of music written that people haven't heard yet, a lot rolling around, you know, in the background. Obviously we haven't been able to fine tune anything yet and finalise any new tracks because of COVID and the pandemic. Practice rooms being shut, no gigs to show off any of the music that we have written. Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff waiting in the wings, as it were, to come to light.
Where will Ignitemares go in the future? To the moon! No, I'm kidding. I have strong plans for Ignitemares to record an album, or at the very least like a really weighted EP. We have loads of material that we're just sat on, and we have a general roadmap of how we want to go about recording and choosing the songs. We just need to be able to actually like get in a room together and get on with it. With a larger release, we figure, you know, we'll play more shows in England, further afield, maybe touring. We just want to push our music as far as we can.